Come in. Come into this place we make holy by our presence. Come in with all your loves and hopes and fears and anxieties, strengths and vulnerabilities. For here you need not hide, nor pretend, nor be anything other than who you are and who you are called to be. My friends, come into this place, for together we make it holy. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Saco and Biddeford. As my script is not here, I am kind of making it up, but that's all right. We will get to it. I'd like to invite Pat Snyder, who has a brief announcement. Oh, microphone down there. That's right.
On. Is it on?
Yep.
Is it on? Okay. I just have two quick announcements. One is if you could please fill out your volunteer sheets in your bulletin, it'd be a big help to us. It doesn't mean that you're going to be doing those things all the time. It's not very often that we get them, but requests. But when we do, we like to know who to call. Excuse me just a minute. The other thing is, I want to thank everyone for helping with the Tree of Hope. And it's over now, and we'll pick it up again next December. Thank you.
Good morning. Come and find me. You won't have to look hard. Come to where the ocean touches the shore. Find me in the bright light promise of morning on the waves. Look carefully at the bubble breaking on the wet sand there. I turn over the glistening rock, slippery and in its custom of seaweed. Here I am. Hear the gulls crying news of the endless ocean. That is my news, my voice. Lie with me in the tall green marsh grass. See my footprints in the sand you have walked upon. Do not say that I am lost. You have found me. I am here. Now please stand as you're able and join me in singing hymn number 4, I Brought My Spirit to the Sea. And now, as is our custom, why don't you turn and greet your neighbors? Neighbor. Good morning. Good morning. Oh. Now, please join me in reading our covenant, which is in the bulletin. This is our sacred promise to gather together in peace, to seek truth in love, to serve human need, so that all shall grow in harmony with the divine.
Please join me in reading our chalice lighting on your insert as I light the candle today. We light this chalice today to invite the Spirit. This is a time in our service when we invite people to share what is in their hearts, whether it's a great joy or a deep sorrow. It is not a time for announcements or political statements. If you wish, please come forward to light a candle. Tell us your name if you'd like to share, and if you'd like to share your joy or sorrow with us, you can choose to do that. Please hold the mic straight in front of you, parallel to the floor, and speak clearly into the mic so you can be heard through the sound system.
Good morning. Donna and I light these candles this morning for our friends Peter and Bruce that we had dinner with last evening, and Sarah Jane and Rita that we are going to see this week. Both couples have had to move into assisted living for health reasons, and as Donna celebrated her 80th, and me my 75th, and others of the same color hair in the congregation understand that the aging process is a little difficult. So we send them our love and our prayers.
Hi, and I'm Donna, and I'm lighting a candle of joy. Joy for the 20-some years that Betsy and I have been together, and joy that I get to celebrate her 75th birthday today. So when you see her afterward, wish her a happy birthday.
Hello, I'm Myra Robinson, and I have a joy to share today. Just found out we've got another grandbaby on the way. She's due in August, and it's my son Eric's.
Good morning, I'm Doreen Spirito. I just want to say this morning that I'm grateful for this life, and I'm grateful for the lives of all of you.
Good morning, I'm Trevor. Just wanted to share joy. I just moved into the new house with Bo this weekend. It's been a long week, moving heavy things and shoveling, but it's been all worth it. It's just absolutely wonderful. Really happy.
As I light one last candle for the joys and sorrows left unspoken, let us take a moment to hold what we have heard in our hearts.
Well, the theme for today's service is be with me. Be with me. And that's really a Buddhist concept, although many other people draw on it as well. And so I found a story for all ages, which I felt really spoke to this. And it's called The Cold Porcupines. It's adapted from a popular Buddhist folktale. In the coldest winter the animals had ever seen, icicles grew from their noses. They shivered all the way to their bones when the freezing wind blew. Most of the animals huddled together in groups for warmth. They took turns sitting on the outside of the huddle and feeling most of the wind, so that no one stayed in the wind for too long. But the porcupines had a problem. Each time they tried to huddle together, they were poked and prodded by sharp quills of their neighbors. They tried to position themselves just right so they wouldn't get scratched, but it was an impossible task. So they decided to back away from each other. But when they did so, they began to freeze. Their teeth chattered, their limbs grew numb, and they knew that they needed warmth. One of the smallest porcupines spoke up, "My neighbors, if we do not huddle together for warmth, we will surely freeze to death. It is true we will get some scratches and cuts from our quills. We are prickly creatures, but these will heal with time. If we freeze, we will never get a chance to heal. Come, let us draw close together and cuddle for warmth." And so the porcupines gathered round the wise little porcupine. It is true that they had some scratches, some cuts, some pinches from quills, but soon after the weather began to warm and the cold winter chills made way to the sunny spring, the porcupine's wounds healed, and they had received the warmth of the closeness of their neighbors, prickly or not. And now I invite you to join as you're able and join us in singing hymn number 15, Lone Wild Bird.
How good is it to center down, to sit quietly and see one's self pass by. The streets of our minds seethe with endless traffic. Our spirits resound with clashings, with noisy silences, while something deep within hungers and thirsts for the still moment and the resting lull. With full intensity, we speak ere the quiet passes, a fresh sense of order in our living, a direction, a strong, sure purpose that will structure our confusion and bring meaning in our chaos. We look at ourselves in this waiting moment, the kinds of people we are. The questions persist. What are we doing with our lives? What are the motives that order our days? What is the end of our doings? Where are we trying to go? Where do we put the emphasis, and where are our values focused? For what end do we make sacrifices? Where is my treasure, and what do I love most in life? What do I hate most in life, and to what am I true? Over and over, the questions beat in upon the waiting moment. As we listen, floating up through all the jangling echoes of our turbulence, there is a sound of another kind, a deeper note which only the stillness of the heart makes clear. It moves directly to the core of our being. Our questions are answered, our spirits refreshed, and we move back into the traffic of our daily round. With a piece of the eternal in our step, how good is it to center down?
Join me in prayer. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts open up these words and bring meaning and joy and direction for us in all things. Amen. The month of January, we've been exploring the theme of finding our center. We carried the thread by pairing our topics with me. We did a walk with me, which was a walking meditation. We did an eat with me, which was a service to be about the seeds of hope, where their work starts with a meal. And then last week I heard we had a lovely service about sing with me, and about the spirituality of music. And this week we are to explore the spiritual, finding our center, through exploring the be here now with me, be with me. And when I prepared for my talk today, two of our principles came to mind. Even when the growth is in another direction, I feel that this is particularly tricky. First being the acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregation. The second principle being the respect for the interdependent web of all existence for which we are a part. The acceptance of one another on our own paths is critical to the notion of just being with me, or being together in general. Acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations, even when the growth is in another direction. I feel like that is really tricky in the UU Church, as we pride ourselves on being a liberal religion above all things. But accepting other people means accepting people who think differently than us. Being tolerant means being tolerant of intolerant people. Truly being with others means not shutting anyone out of our hearts and not making people into enemies. Even those who don't think about things the way we do. Acceptance. If we truly accept one another and in fact don't other people at all, we find that life becomes very ambiguous, which is the uncomfortable to some people. It is easier to make things black and white. It is in fact a way to make ourselves more comfortable and secure, even when we don't have to question ourselves on our own beliefs. When we accept and encourage others, we open ourselves to experiencing truth that is not our truth. It opens us up to knowing that everything is shifting and changing, and our comfort zone, our sense of right and wrong, whatever that means, cannot remain the same. Accepting others exactly where they are means we have to be vulnerable to each other and ready to experience truth that is not ours. When I read the principle of acceptance of one another and encouragement of spiritual growth in our congregations, I originally read it to mean acceptance of you and encouragement of your spiritual growth. But as I sat with the principle in preparation for today, I realized I might have read that backwards, because accepting you as you are leads to my spiritual growth. It means recognizing that I don't have all the answers and that my truth is incomplete without my understanding of your truth. It means recognizing I don't have all the answers and that my truth is incomplete without you. Your spiritual growth is fertilized and watered when mine is also fertilized and watered. When I accept you as you are and am open to your identity and your reality, my truth expands as we share our community together. Expanding our truths as we share all of our truths is the bigger us, and it's how we grow spiritually as a community. I grow when I know you. You all grow when you know us. There are two important concepts for acceptance, I think: curiosity and kindness. If we cultivate curiosity about people and beliefs that are seemingly different from our own, we practice letting go of our own defensiveness. Our walls come down. We seek connection, not separation. As we reduce the space between us, we cultivate openness. The pinnacle of openness is beingness. When I am fully open to you, I am just being. Right here, right now. I'm not thinking about the next thing I'm going to say. I'm not lost in my head thinking about what just happened or worrying about what's going to happen. I am open in this moment. Even if your walls go back up. Acceptance is also a matter of kindness. When someone has responded to you in curiosity, when they have revealed themselves to you, whatever that may look like, your response can be nothing less than kind. Even if you disagree, even if your walls go back. Kindness in all circumstances, in all revelations, is a mark of both acceptance, for the most part, and kindness is also a mark of spiritual growth. When you can respond kindly, you honor dignity and the other person in front of you. You extend grace to another and ultimately to yourself. Kindness towards one another provides safety and comfort for someone to truly reveal themselves, to be who they really are. As a result, you have an opportunity to be who you truly are, being together and just being. This gives a nod to the South African principle of Ubuntu, which is a concept that you frequently cite. It goes, I cannot be me unless you are you and we are we. I cannot be me unless you are you and we are we. Our identities are completely caught up in relationship. We don't even exist as individuals, only in relationship to one another. This goes against our culture of rugged individualism and pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Churches, especially this one, exist to challenge that status quo. In this case, the notion that we are the center of the universe and that only our opinion counts. We exist in full relationship to creation and are ourselves accountable for how we treat each other and all of creation. Acceptance of ourselves and each other is the key to Ubuntu. I cannot be me unless you are fully you. I accept that. And the reality is built on the building blocks of each person in relationship to each other. Because accepting each other is a building block to having an authentic relationship to just being. This does not imply that all relationships are smooth or rosy, or disagreements don't exist, or we're not prickly. However, my greatest growing moments have come from prickly relationships and prickly situations, even right here in this church. When my ideas are challenged, and more specifically, my idea of right and wrong are challenged, can I rest in the what if, rather than trying to figure out how to win? Can I be more curious? Can I be kind? Or perhaps more poignantly, will I be curious? And will I be kind? Will I choose to be in the moment even when the moment is uncomfortable? That's the true test of spiritual growth. Can I be with you exactly as you are, being exactly who I am? Will I accept you in this moment? There's an interesting Christian theology articulated by a newish theologian on the scene. It's the theology of marginality. The theology was imagined and articulated by a Korean Methodist minister. He was sent by his bishop to serve a mostly white, mostly middle class, mostly English-speaking, aged congregation in a suburban location. The assignment was very challenging to him. His English was broken, and he encountered significant prejudice there. His time there was challenging to his faith, and it was challenging to his call, and it was challenging in general. His theology that he began to articulate, was the idea that a living God isn't found in the center of our faith. It's not found where we're comfortable. In the acceptance of our tradition as it exists now, but our faith is grown in the margins, in the dynamic push and pull of the edges of the current understanding that we live in. And I love that idea. In a tradition where what the bishop says goes, young Yu Lee was sent to the desert, so to speak, to his dismay. And I suspect the congregation received him in that same dismay. But they all accepted the bishop's authority in the matter. They accepted it. It translates directly to the notion of acceptance of each other. While they didn't like it, their acceptance caused spiritual growth for all. When we bump up against others' truths and accept them, the edges between us are pushed and pulled, and the dynamics of our faith are stretched. Acceptance, whoever meets that out to us, sometimes leading to dissonance, causing friction and stretching and growth. Acceptance of one another, even if being told by a higher authority like a bishop, is so important. It encourages spiritual growth. In a religiously liberal community as ours, where there are no bishops, acceptance must be a central tenet so that we privilege relationships and growth above power and authority. So closely intertwined with this principle is the principle of respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. Again, because when we accept others, we recognize that our existence is intimately tied up in theirs. I was having coffee with my daughter yesterday, who shared with me a concept that she was really excited about. It's called the quantum entanglement. I looked it up, and our principle immediately came to mind, so let me share with you about quantum entanglement, because I know you wanted to talk about physics this morning. Right? Ben, this is for you. Quantum entanglement is the phenomenon that occurs when a group of particles are generated, interact, or share space proximity in a way that the quantum state of each particle of the group can never be described independently of that state of others, including when the particles are separated by a large distance. That was a mouthful. But once particles interact or get close to one another, they impact and are impacted in such a way that they can never be separated again, truly. And by extension, Since we are all made up of particles, we can never be separated from each other again. We are completely intertwined. And that's scientifically speaking, once you and I spend time together, breathe the same air, exchange handshakes and hugs, we can never be separable again. I am permanently changed by you. You are permanently changed by me. We are forever related in a molecular kind of way. My state of being is affected by your state of being, and according to quantum entanglement, once our systems are entangled, they will exhibit correlations to molecules that they have encountered along the way. I will exhibit a whole new way of being because I've encountered you. I always point this out at a wedding, doing a soil or a sand ceremony. I have the couple bring sand or soil from their childhood home, or at least a place that has special meaning to them as a soul person, and together during the ceremony, they blend those soils together. I point out that those soils you'll never be able to separate those again. They are inextricably intertwined. In the event of death or divorce or any other occurrence or occasion, they will always be intertwined from that day forward. I love the metaphor is not only cool for a marriage ceremony ritual and actually a physical reality once we change that sand, but our entanglements with other humans embeds in us shared emotions, actions, fears. It suggests that all human bodies are interconnected in a very basic way. It's a scientific way of affirming our principle. We are all connected to those we love and those we don't love, to those we have intentionally spent time with, and to those we've encountered at the Hannaford or the airport, to those we met 25 years ago and to those we met yesterday. We are all inextricably connected. Our actions model behavior that other people will reflect back to us and to the world. Our molecules will impose and intermingle with other people's molecules, and by extension, animals and plants and all other living creatures. Furthermore, a cultural anthropologist from Colorado College extrapolates this further. While quantum entanglement theory addresses how humans are all intertwined, and in fact all beings are related through an exchange of molecules, she points out that humans are symbionts. That was a new word for me. Meaning that our systems and functions as humans are supported by parasites and bacteria and other non-human living material. What impacts us as humans on the molecular level impacts all the pieces and parts of us. Bacteria that we rely on for digestion, as an example, can be transmitted to another person or animal with different outcomes, of course. But we certainly see this and experience this right now when it comes to viruses, which are living parts of us. COVID. The interdependent web of existence, as articulated by scientists and anthropologists, is reflected clearly in our principle. And yet, we have been taught this principle through our wisdom traditions, our theologies, our principles. Do unto others and other things as you would have them do unto you. In Indian traditions, we have the idea of karma. The relationship between a person's mental or physical action will have consequences. What deeds do you do in the world will come back to you. It's also a Zoroastrian idea. You should guard against your thoughts, words, and deeds, otherwise they will manifest in your life. These religions and philosophies are pointing to something that we know to be physically true now, scientifically true. What you put out into the world will change the world, and it will change you with it. When we consider the principle of respect for the interdependent web of existence, we recognize that everything we do makes a difference to every other person, creature, and by extension, all living organisms, and thus comes back to us. And we have a very great responsibility for everything that we do. Accepting and encouraging others through curiosity and kindness, respecting that we with a capital W, and we're all connected in every possible way. These principles are life-giving and nurturing. These principles are way of being. These principles are true and may be trusted, and may we be here now holding those principles close. And so it is.
When we gather together as a community, we bring the gifts of ourselves, our hearts, and our spirits, our time and our energy, our talents, skills, to support the work of this church within our walls and out in the larger community. For the month of January, we'll be sharing our plate with the Seeds of Hope Community Center. We also bring our gift of generosity, giving of what we have, so that the work of this church may continue. As always, half of our offering will be sent out into the larger community. Please be generous in your giving. Please remain standing as we extinguish the chalice. As we release this flame, warm our compassion, to fire our delight, to light our paths, today, tomorrow, and always. Please join in singing our closing hymn, number 350, The Ceaseless Flow of Endless Time.
Having found stillness, may we share peace. Having received connection, may we reach out to others. Having heard the call of our deepest self, may we live in greater alignment. Having returned to our center, may we expand the circle of love, and may it be so. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're glad that you came. We will conclude our service with an organ postlude. Please remain seated as Paul shares his music.